Hello everybody, this is Luke coming back to you with another Arc Raiders video. Today we will be talking about stash organization and loot prioritization. We'll start with organization. So to organize your stash, the first thing you're going to want to know is that there's two categories. This just makes it a little bit easier to figure out where you're kind of lacking. The first category is deployable, and that is all these items that you would put into your loadout to go into a match. So that would include your augments, shields, guns, ammo, grenades, meds, and your keys and your utility. So this is like where the line cuts off. Now, a good rule of thumb, if you're doing PvP, you should have about half your inventory used by these deployable in this deployable category. So it would be around maybe here or so if you're doing PvP. And for PvE, I recommend about a third. So it'll go up to about here or something like that. You can go down to about a quarter if you really feel like it, maybe about here or here. That just really depends on what your lobbies look like. If you're in PvE lobbies where you just don't die at all, I would probably cut it off around here because you really don't need that many guns or meds and all that, deployable items. Now, the other category that we have starts right here. And what these items are I would I would call them craftable items. They're items that you use to craft, like you have them in your stash. You're like, oh, I need bandages. Oh, I need a gun. Oh, I need this. These are your items to craft into the other items. There is another like subcategory which is miscellaneous, but we're just gonna put that into craftable. Um, an example of miscellaneous stuff would be quest items or like seeds, blueprints as well. You don't really craft them or anything, but we'll just add that to craftable to make it a little easier. Now, let's start off with an example. If you go into a match and you're like, I want a PvE, and like your main goal is to PvE, what should you get rid of? What should you be looking for? Actually, I'm going to restart this. So the first category that we're going to try to look through is deployable. So we're going to start from about right here. When it comes to your like keys and your utility, I would only keep a couple Raider hatch keys. Something that you need to think about with when it comes to like keys for rooms is if you don't feel like you're going to use it in the next like week or two when playing the game, you should probably just get rid of it. You should either sell it or maybe even use Metaforge to trade it if it's a good key. With the deployable items, it's kind of just whatever you feel comfortable having. I mean, if you use a ton of barricades or use a ton of zip lines, keep them, but I try to keep that as slim as I possibly can. I mean, I only got 4 right here. When it comes to meds, the best place to slim down with meds is the cheapest option possible, which is bandages and adrenaline shots. If your stash is really full, get rid of some bandages. It's super easy to make. It takes 24 or 25 cloth to actually make just one stack of the white bandages, and also they're just really easy to throw into a kit. So, and then just making it every match isn't too big a deal. Adrenaline shots too, you can buy them for about 1,000 coins each, and also making them isn't that expensive. So getting rid of those is a good idea. I tend to keep as much meds as possible in this category just because I feel like I always run low on them. So it looks like I have a lot, but you might have less, and that's okay. So now when it comes to grenades here, we have about 1 stack of each is kind of my rule of thumb with these. When it comes to like deadlines and wolf packs, maybe keep 2 of each if that's something that you use kind of often. Maybe if you're more into PvP, definitely go with like 1 deadline and then maybe 2 wolf packs. Probably good for if you know where you're going, and that's probably going to be into a Rocketeer. So all right, moving on to ammo. We have, I don't have very much ammo right now, and I don't expect you to have too much because it's something that you can easily buy and craft. So if you only have like a couple stacks of ammo, that's a really good place to be. But if it's really hard for you to get to that point, I recommend having no more than 2 stacks of each ammo type. So if you have 3 stacks or 4 stacks of a certain ammo, I recommend deleting or getting rid of them. So now we'll move on to guns. So each weapon has spaces for weapon attachments. Now, a weapon attachment takes up an inventory slot in your stash. So what you're really going to want to do is find a weapon that it can be used on, like let's say the Stitcher, like I had it on before. and then just put the extended barrel on and put it in the stash, and it saves space. So if you have any mods, any of the attachments, you should have them on your guns. It's a waste of space to have them in your inventory. And if you know you're never going to use them, like if it's a common one that you don't feel like you're ever really going to use, you could even sell it if all of your guns are full of weapon attachments. When it comes to these items, as you progress through the game, you should have about 10 or so of each if you can. But as you get a little further and a little further, you'll realize you don't need as many commons. So after maybe a couple of hours or even about 10 or so hours of the game, you can start getting rid of your common ones to have only about a small handful of them, and closer to the end game, you can have none if you really feel like it. I recommend, for just a general rule of thumb, if you're doing PvP, definitely go more, like go all out. And if you're closer to end game, for sure, just do more weapons. For like that's, I'm gonna restart that actually. So let's cut all the way back to augments. All right, now we'll talk about weapons. So when it comes to weapons, we'll go through every rarity because this is kind of a difficult category to cover. So with common, I would definitely start with, when you first start playing the game, keep maybe about 6 and only keep the ones that you really like. So like if Stitcher's your favorite, keep 3 Stitcher, 1 of each of the common ones. As you progress along the game, you're not going to need them as much. So I only have about 3, but at the end game, I'll have maybe 1 at a time because I like the Rattler. It's kind of fun sometimes. Green weapons, I would keep about 10 of them, maybe more if you're doing PvP. And now blue weapons, this is kind of where you get loaded up. This is where you get as many as you possibly can. If you're doing PvE, you can do a rule of thumb about 10 to 15 of them. You could go a little bit more than that. I would recommend kind of staying in that 10 to 15 range, because if you get more than that and you're just doing PvE and you don't die very much, you kind of don't need having all 15 of those blue weapons. And at that point, you might actually be using just purple weapons at that time. So PvP, because you run through so many weapons, as many as you possibly can is probably a good idea. Mostly your favorite ones. If you don't like Osprey at all, then get rid of them, of course. Now we'll go over to the epic weapons. Keep all the ones that you know that you'll use, because at the end of the game, if you don't use all of your purple weapons and you're looking to reset or go on the expedition, then it's kind of, there's no point in keeping them. So only keep the ones you really think that you're going to use. So if you don't really think you're going to use a patina, sell it. Let's say you never use a patina and you never will use a patina, but you're keeping one just in case. Just get rid of it. You don't need it. You're never going to use it, right? Now let's go into shields. You should only keep about 4 to 6 shields. And the reason I say that is because light shields you can buy for a very cheap price and you can craft them for like nothing. It's super easy. Medium shields are a very easy craft as well. And then heavy shields I would try and keep if you really like them, but I personally don't. So maybe keep it just like how I have it: 2 green shields, a blue shield, and a purple shield. If you get further into the game, it should probably be closer to like 1 green shield, 3 blue shields, 1 purple shield, or something like that. But I don't recommend keeping them because you can just use, what are they called? Arc circuitry to just make them anytime. Super easy. Now, with the augments, I keep about 8 of them. You could do more, you could do less. Just make sure that you're not keeping ones that you don't think you're ever going to use. Like even with this combat MK1, I don't really think I'm going to use it, so I'm going to sell it just as an example. So now I only got 7, but if there's anything that you feel like you would be like, oh, I might use it, but I don't know. But if you don't think you're going to use it within maybe 5 to 10 hours of gameplay, you can probably just get rid of it. Except for when it comes to weapons, of course. Now, this is when we start going into craftable items. So these items are all the items that are right below these utility items right here. Everything below this is a craftable item until you get to about here. These are not craftable items. These are just a miscellaneous category. That's why I said they have a miscellaneous category as well. But we're adding that to crafting just to make it a little easier. This section gets a little tricky. When it comes to epic items, I try to keep them the best I can, but if I want to sell any of them or recycle any of them, I just try to recycle the magnetic accelerator or Exodus modules. I try to keep everything else. If you got like Magnetron or Ion Sputter, then try and keep them. If not, recycle them. They come out with some pretty good items. Now, when it comes to the rare items, this is probably the best category for just re-upping each run. So if you die and you lost your shield or lost your whatever augment and you're like, oh, I need to get another augment, oh, I need to get another shield, this is kind of what you're looking at to restock that. That includes like arc circuitry, advanced electrical component, advanced arc power cell. These are pretty good stuff to just try and keep as much as you can of. Gun parts, heavy gun parts, light gun parts, medium gun parts, keep them as much as you can. After maybe like 2 stacks, I'd probably say just craft them into weapons at that point. You don't want to hold too many of these. It really takes up a lot of space. And having a maxed out gun takes up maybe 2 stacks of gun parts, depending on the weapon that you make. And that takes up less space, which is great. And another thing I try to keep a lot of is processors, because I can make a lot of augments with them. So try and keep a bunch of those. Everything else can kind of just be like up to you. Like if you're like, oh, I like zip lines a lot, then keep rope, but you can always buy zip lines every day or rope every day to make zip lines. So it's not too big a deal to keep them. Now we'll go down to uncommon items. I try to keep the same amount of arc alloy as I do batteries. So like if I have about 5 batteries, then I'll try to have 5 arc alloy, but I just use them for the expedition, so I'm kind of low on arc alloy, but that's my general rule of thumb. I kind of have too many batteries actually, but it's not too big a deal. This is kind of a trickier section right here on what you should really get rid of. If you kind of have more than 3 stacks of anything in this area right here, then you should get rid of it. Except for Great Mullen and Durable Cloth, you should have exactly the same amount as Great Mullen as you do Durable Cloth, so that you can craft it at any time. Durable Cloth you can make, so if you were to be very desperate, you can get rid of some Durable Cloth, but Great Mullen try not to get rid of, because that's not something that you can craft. I try to keep a bunch of simple gun parts, especially early to mid game, because I can make as many uncommon weapons as I possibly want. If I wanted to make like an arpeggio or a maxed out Berletta, then it's super easy because I have like 6 stacks of them. So try to keep them as much as you can, especially early to mid game. And if there's like your favorite weapons in uncommon, like let's say Berletta, then try to keep them as much as you can late game as well. Wire. On my last video, I show you how to get 60 wire in one run. So honestly, you should probably not keep too many of these. Maybe a stack at most. I only keep 3 because I just got out of that run and I have so much stash space. I just kind of keep them. One thing that is kind of an outlier is arc power cells. Just immediately turn them into shield rechargers. It takes up the same amount of space and you use shield rechargers, and it would just save you a lot of time. Now, when it comes to the basic materials, you can kind of just get rid of like a stack or 2 on each section here and there. Kind of just do the one that looks the fullest. So like, let's say for me, the fullest kind of looks like fabric. I will just get rid of like a stack of fabric and a stack of chemicals or something like that. Something I don't feel like I use too much. Now, when it comes to miscellaneous, you can kind of have any amount here. It just depends on what part of the game you're at, like what progression you're at and what you're doing with your account. So if you're still upgrading Scrappy, you should still have these items here, like I do. But if you're further into the game, you don't need them. Seeds, I personally collect seeds, but you don't need more than maybe like 6 stacks. After that, I would try to get rid of anything else besides seeds as I can, because it takes about 200 seeds to completely empty out the shop of Celestes every single day. And then also there is like a way to trade on Metaforge. So I try to keep as many as I can. I wouldn't really recommend getting rid of them, but if you're really grinding on PvP, I would kind of just get rid of them after maybe 6 or 7 stacks, something like that. All right, everybody, this is the best way I've found to organize my inventory. If you liked the video and you found it helpful, please drop a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and check out more videos on my channel.